Welcome to CriolloWise podcast, the evolution of the Criollo breed around the world.
Welcome back, everyone. Today we're diving into the world of the Gateado horse.
Oh, a fascinating choice.
It is. We've got some excerpts from a text that's all about the Gateado coat pattern.
That coot is really something special, isn't it?
It really is. And we're going to get into all the nitty-gritty details about it.
The history, the genetics, the lore.
The whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
So to kick things off, for those who might not be familiar, what exactly defines a Gateado horse?
Well, picture this. A horse with a dark bay base coat.
Okay, pretty standard.
Right. Now add black points, mane, tail, lower legs.
Got it.
But here's where it gets really interesting. You've got these zebra-like stripes on the legs and back.
Oh, wow, like a zebra.
Yeah, and sometimes they even have these concentric diamond markings on the forehead.
Those markings are incredible. I can see why they call this coat pattern the fascination of horsemen.
It's like nature's own artwork, right?
Absolutely. And the text even mentions that way back in 1572.
Oh, wow.
A horse expert named Don Pedro de Aguilar.
Don Pedro de Aguilar, okay.
He considered those black points.
The ones we talked about.
Yep, the mark of a perfect Gateado.
Interesting. So people have been admiring these horses for centuries.
Centuries. And it's not just one specific look, right? There are actually different subcategories of Gateado.
You're absolutely right. It's like different flavors of Gateado, so to speak.
Flavors. I like that.
So you've got your darker brown Gateado, your Pangare Gateado, which has these lighter areas, almost sun-bleached looking.
Huh. Interesting.
Then there's the blonde Gateado, which mixes in some chestnut coloring.
Okay, and what was the last one?
Yes, the striped bay. That one's all about maximizing those zebra stripes.
So much variety. Makes you wonder where it all comes from.
Well, the text has a really interesting theory about that. It suggests that all this diversity could be a direct result of domestication and selective breeding.
You mean humans play a role?
Exactly. Think about it. Indigenous people and gauchos, they lived and worked with these horses.
Right, they depended on them.
And naturally, they'd be drawn to those with unique, eye-catching coats.
Makes sense.
So over generations, that preference could have influenced the breed's genetics, leading to the variety we see today.
So it's not just random mutations, but also a human element.
Yeah, like a collaboration between nature and human aesthetics.
Fascinating. And it gets even deeper than that.
Oh.
Because some purebred Creole foals, they're born with those Gateado markings.
Right.
But then, get this, their coats actually change as they get older.
Really? They change color?
They do. They can shift to wolf-colored, bay, tan, all sorts of variations. Can you imagine? You have this Gateado foal, and then poof, it starts changing colors.
That's incredible. Almost like they're carrying a hidden genetic history within them.
Exactly, and that's where things get really interesting. This could be an example of what's called phylogenetic development.
Phylogenetic development, okay.
It suggests that those changing colors could be a glimpse into the breed's evolutionary history.
So the Gateado pattern might represent an older form.
An older form, yeah.
That some foals display before transitioning to other colors.
That's the theory. It's like these horses are carrying a visual record of their ancestry in their very coats.
That's mind-blowing. We've barely scratched the surface here. And already, the Gateado is proving to be an incredibly fascinating breed.
I know, right? We're just getting started, and there's so much more to uncover about this amazing horse.
It's amazing how these coat changes aren't just random.
Right, like we were saying.
But could actually offer a glimpse into the Criollo breed's deep evolutionary past.
It's like they're carrying a secret code in their genes.
Exactly. And speaking of secrets, the Gateado has another one up its sleeve.
Oh, do tell.
Well, it's not just about the looks, you know.
There's more.
Oh, yeah. This breed is also known for its incredible stamina.
Stamina? You mean like how far they can run?
That and more. It's about endurance, the ability to handle tough conditions, to just keep going.
I bet our listeners who are into long-distance riding are perking up right now.
I bet they are. And, you know, it's fascinating how this stamina is woven into the folklore and cultural identity of South America.
Oh, absolutely. The text mentions some sayings like, Gateado before dead than tired.
Wow, that's a powerful saying.
Right. And there's another one.
Go on.
To a Gateado that takes a troop. Clearly, they believe these horses could go the distance.
It wasn't just talk, though. Those sayings reflect a deep understanding of the Gateado's capabilities. They came from generations of people who lived and worked alongside these horses.
It's like their lived experience became ingrained in their language.
Exactly. And it wasn't just folklore either. There are historical accounts that back up these claims of stamina.
Oh, like what kind of accounts?
Well, for instance, Mansilla, he wrote about entire troops mounted on Gateado horses.
Wow, entire troops.
And then there's Zebulos, who noted the preference for Gateados among indigenous people.
Because of their strength and resilience, right?
Precisely. You wouldn't want just any horse carrying you across those vast landscapes.
Makes sense. You'd want a Gateado, a horse built for those conditions.
Exactly. And these horses weren't just used for everyday tasks either.
Oh, what else were they used for?
They were also present in battles, showcasing their strength and courage.
Wow, in battles.
The text even includes a dramatic excerpt from Pain,
Pain, okay.
depicting a Gateado holding its own in the heated battle scene. So yeah, these horses were in the thick of it.
That's incredible. It's like they were more than just horses. They were partners, comrades.
I think that's a great way to put it. Partners in work, partners in war, partners in life, even.
Okay, so we've talked about their stamina, but let's get back to that incredible Gateado coat pattern for a moment.
Sounds good.
We've talked about the general look, but the text goes into some really specific details about those zebra-like stripes.
Ah, yes, the stripes. They're not just randomly placed,
There's a pattern to them.
Absolutely. The text describes a distinct dark stripe, about 2 fingers wide, running down the back from mane to tail.
Okay, I can picture that.
And then you've got these circular and crosswise stripes on the legs, starting at the knees and hocks.
So not just a random scattering of stripes, but a specific arrangement.
Exactly. And let's not forget about those concentric diamond markings on the forehead.
Those are so cool.
Not every Gateado has them, but they add another layer of visual intrigue.
I love how the text even compares the Gateado's ears to those of puma cubs.
It's a great comparison. It really captures that sense of wild beauty that surrounds this breed.
Speaking of capturing their essence, the text gets pretty specific when describing the colors of the Gateado coat.
Specific how?
Well, it mentions something called the Ridgway Standard.
The Ridgway Standard. Does that ring a bell?
It sounds familiar, but I can't quite place it.
It's a color reference system developed by an American ornithologist.
An ornithologist, so a bird expert.
Yeah. Robert Ridgway was his name.
Okay, so what does this have to do with horses?
Well, his system is used to precisely describe colors in nature. We're talking very detailed shades and hues.
Ah, I see. So it's like a super specific color dictionary for nature.
Exactly. And according to this standard, the Gateado coat falls under a range of browns, tans, and olive hues.
So not just brown, but a whole spectrum of earthy tones.
Think about the colors of pumas, lions, even vicuñas.
Vicuñas.
Those llama-like animals from the Andes.
Oh, right, vicuñas.
So you see, it's not just a simple brown coat. There's real depth and nuance to the Gateado's coloration.
It's like they're wearing the colors of their environment.
And that connection to nature goes even deeper when we consider those coat changes we discussed earlier.
Right, those foals that are born with the Gateado pattern and then transition to other colors.
The text actually delves into a specific example, a horse named Criollo.
Criollo. Okay.
His coat changes caused quite a stir among experts. It really challenged their understanding of coat patterns and inheritance.
Imagine that, a single horse shaking up the scientific community.
It just goes to show how much we still have to learn about equine genetics.
And how much these animals can teach us if we pay attention.
Exactly. And the Gateado, with its unique coat, its incredible stamina, and its rich history, is a prime example of that.
Okay, so we've covered the coat, the evolution, the stamina. Where do we go from here? What else does this deep dive have in store for us?
I'm ready to keep going. We were talking about how the Gateado's story is so connected to South American history and culture.
Right, it's really woven into the fabric of life there.
And you mentioned the gauchos.
Of course. You can't talk about the Gateado without talking about the gauchos.
Those legendary horsemen of the Pampas.
Exactly.
They must have relied heavily on the Gateado.
Oh, absolutely. For their work, their livelihood.
Herding cattle across those vast distances.
And navigating that challenging terrain. The Gateado was essential.
It wasn't just a horse, it was a true partner.
A partner, a comrade, you could say.
Their bond must have been incredible.
It had to be. The Gateado was key to their survival in those harsh conditions. It's no wonder these horses became so central to gaucho folklore and tradition.
I could see that. And speaking of history, the text hints at some famous Gateado horses. Oh, there are quite a few. Some really stand out.
Like who?
Well, there's the horse Written by Don Ezequiel Ramos Mejia in that painting.
Which painting?
Conduction of the Remains of General Laval.
Okay, I've seen that one.
The Gateado is right there in the center.
Really prominent.
It's almost like a symbol of the Argentine people's strength during a tough time in their history.
Wow, so a single horse representing a whole nation.
That's the power of the Gateado, right?
Right. And there was another one you mentioned earlier.
Oh, you mean Governor Rosa's Gateado?
That's the one.
That horse was so famous, it even had its own brand.
A brand. Like cattle.
Exactly. Thanks to a Chilean named Saavedra, apparently. We know about this from Monsignor Marcos de Escura.
And other historical accounts.
Right. It shows you how prized these horses were.
Even among the elite.
Absolutely. And you know what else is interesting?
What's that?
Gateados also made their mark on the racetrack.
Oh, yeah. They raced too.
Of course. Their speed and stamina made them fierce competitors.
Makes sense.
The text mentions a race in Buenos Aires back in 1852.
1852. Wow.
Called the Autumn Meeting. Gateados like Hotspur, Breezewing, and Measles were all contenders.
Hotspur, Breezewing, and Measles.
What a lineup, right?
Those names. They sound like they were born to race.
I know, right? And there's this great story about Sir Woodbine Parish.
Sir Woodbine Parish. Who was that?
He was a British consul general. He had a Gateado that won a race against General Pacheco's horse.
Oh, so it was like a high-stakes match?
It was, and on a particularly long track, too.
Mm-hmm.
Then, get this, another Gateado went and beat General Hornus's horse.
Wow, they were really racking up the wins.
They were. But, you know, horse racing has always had its share of, let's say, less than honorable moments.
Right, not always a fair game.
The text mentions an account by Patricio Lynch Pueyrredon
Okay.
describing a rigged race involving a Gateado. It seems some people were willing to do whatever it took to win.
That's a shame.
It is. It reminds you that even in something like horse racing, with all its traditions, there was always a potential for, well, cheating.
Sadly, yeah. But even with those instances of foul play, the Gateado still had this reputation for being strong and capable.
Absolutely.
Right.
The good stories outweighed the bad, you could say.
And the stories kept coming, right?
Oh, yeah. We hear about Gato de Pere, a Gateado from Cardal that was undefeated.
Never lost a race?
Never. And then there's this personal anecdote in the text
Oh.
about a Gateado winning races after a full day's work.
Wait, what? After working all day?
That's right. Talk about stamina.
That's incredible. It says so much about their spirit.
They were truly remarkable animals. And so versatile, clearly.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. What's the one thing you hope our listeners take away from all this?
I want them to see that the Gateado is more than just a horse with a cool coat. It's a symbol of resilience, adaptation.
And that deep connection between humans and animals.
Exactly. It embodies the spirit of South America, its history, its people.
And its landscape.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
And its story reminds us that even within a single breed, there's incredible diversity and depth.
So much to learn and appreciate.
And here's something else to think about. Could the prevalence of the Gateado coat today,
In modern Criollo horses.
right, could it be a sign of a deeper connection to their ancestors? A preserved lineage of strength and endurance?
That's a fascinating question. It makes you want to keep exploring, keep learning.
Exactly. There's always more to discover in the natural world.
Well said. And that concludes our deep dive into the Gateado horse. We hope you enjoyed the journey.
And learn something new along the way.
Until next time.